Corona challenge. Not the best idea. So, Michael, I just wanted to ask you, how have you been keeping busy during this time? What does your daily routine look like?
Okay. Just want to start off by saying thank you for hosting me and letting me be on the show with you tonight, Zach.
It wouldn't be the same without you.
Okay. So in Greenwich right now, everything's shut down. There's like a state of emergency by the mayor last week. There's no shuls, there's no minyans, no public gatherings, there's no restaurants. Basically, it's just you can only go to the supermarket. That's about it. No one's on the streets for you to go outside. So I'm basically in my house. Like I'm in like a quarantine, even though I don't need to be.
So what does your daily routine look like since you've been off?
So I'm trying to keep it as normal as possible. Meaning I still learn my morning chavruta and my night chavruta.
You shower?
I do shower. Try to do that daily.
Important. Twice. Have you been using soap, like for hands?
I haven't used soap.
I actually just found a giant Purell bottle in my dorm room. It's literally this big, and I just brought it home. And my dad told me that little ones are selling for $5 now at the store, so that bottle might be worth $300.
You should probably sell it online.
Yeah, maybe. I'll put it on Amazon.
Okay. I'll tell you something I did today I liked a lot. I just took a walk outside for a little bit just to get a little fresh air. Been inside for the past 2 days, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the health laws are, but I definitely, being on cross country, I've been making sure to get in my daily runs. And even the other day, I was listening to some nice Musser on my run from Rick Ben, throwback, shout out to Nativ. And I've listened to catching up on the Beatles music while on the runs. It's been nice. Not too many people outside. Hopefully the weather will get warmer. I heard it's supposed to snow this week even.
What's it like over in Bergenfield? Is it shut down like Teaneck and Great Neck?
Yeah, so there's actually no more minions going on now in Teaneck and Bergenfield, which has definitely been an adjustment. It's weird. Like, that was definitely a big structure of mine that was gone. But I know Teaneck's in quarantine, but Bergenfield, we're still good. I still go to Grand and Essex, buy myself some smoothies. You know, we're still doing pretty well. So, Michael, I wanted to ask you, I feel like it's crazy that the NCAA basketball tournament shut down. You know, I was researching in World War II, it wasn't even closed. What are your thoughts on, is Corona worse than World War II? Is that what we're coming to right now?
Okay, so I think that's a little bit of a stretch. It's definitely a stretch, but I'll tell you why it's different and that it does make sense to shut it down. Meaning Corona is growing exponentially. So right now it doesn't seem like it's so many cases, but it could easily get to the point where there's not enough medical facilities to take care of the people who are actually in danger. Meaning me and you are not in danger. If we catch it, it'll be like the flu at the worst, and probably more like a cold. So we'll be okay. But if someone who's critically ill or someone who has autoimmune deficiency catches it, they're in danger. And there's only so many hospital beds to get. If you ever hear any politicians or anything on the news, they call it
what about just having like empty fans in the stadiums, and then the games could still happen? Like I know for me, it's definitely been rough not having my Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James time with the NBA. And I'm sure all of us here were looking forward to the YU D3 basketball tournament. And I know the team is keeping healthy. I'm sure like we could have, like, you know, players get sick all the time. Like, why couldn't we have done games without fans?
So it's a good point. The difference, meaning, let's say like the women's sports, a lot of sports teams are doing like what you're saying. The difference is though, that's professional and they're getting paid to do it. So there's a reason to take the risk. Versus for us, it's enjoyable and obviously we want to go to the games. Why has never done this well? But it's not necessarily worth the risk. Meaning you could be the carrier for the disease and give it to someone's grandparent, and that's dangerous. And you won't know because it takes a week to find out. So we don't take that risk. And going back to your point about World War II, just to say on that,
I wasn't there.
World War II though wasn't back at home. Meaning other than Pearl Harbor, they didn't attack us. We didn't feel it so much in the land on the day-to-day. But this is in your backyard. This is in Teaneck. That's next door.
Yeah.
You got to be more careful in that sense.
Right. I hear. Last thing on the Corona situation. So I know people are kind of upset that Minyanim were closed down. Like they argued like maybe house minions of like 10 would be okay. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think that they maybe should have allowed smaller house minions and shut down the main shuls?
So at first, I'll be honest, I was very upset because originally they said in Great Neck, like only small minyanim, like no one over the age of 65 is allowed in the shul. I thought that was very fair. And then the next day they put out a statement, nothing. So I thought I personally got upset because I said, listen, it's Parsha Para. I want to go. Right? What am I staying at home for? Waste my whole day at home for no reason.
Yeah.
But then all this sudden, all these cases started breaking out. We had, I don't know, it went from like 5 cases to like 25 in one day. So if we're having people go to Mignon, it'll just escalate it. So while maybe I would want to go to Mignon or I want to get out of the house, it's not fair to people who are actually in risk. So I said, you have to just take one for the team.
Yeah, it's definitely a time where we got to be extra cautious. I think that if we continue to be this careful, hopefully it'll keep the damage to a minimum, and then hopefully we'll come up with a vaccine or some kind of cure, and then we'll be back to normalcy. Hopefully soon. Okay, so 100%. I thought to lighten up the mood, it'd be a little bit fun to have a quick little hashkafic debate. Obviously, neither of us are poskening. I don't think I'm a rabbi. I'm just kidding. I'm not a rabbi. You're not a rabbi, to my knowledge. On just water parks in general, you know, I personally am a avid Disney fan, as I might have implied earlier, and I love going to Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon. I'm actually a Six Flags season pass holder. Hurricane Harbor is my jam. So I personally think that Jewish families going to water parks, obviously it's not the ideal situation in terms of SNEAs, but I think that when you're going for fun, and clearly the message, when you're going with your family and you're not going alone, and clearly the main intention is not to see unsneezed people, I think that if you're just going for fun with your family, and it just happens to be that it's not the most sneezed place, but your main goal is to go on water slides, have fun, you know, spend quality time with your family, I think that it could actually be an uplifting way to just have a fun time, you know, get some good thrills in it. It could be a great bonding experience. And I wanted to know your thoughts on what your personal opinion is on going to water parks.
So I definitely agree with you that it could be a lot of fun, and there's definitely great bonding experience you could have there. But as a general rule, you should never put yourself, I think, in a position where you could fail. That's just the rule. So you have to be honest with yourself. What's going to happen when you go there? Right? You said you're not going to see it, but the question is, would you go to the beach? I'm just asking. Do you feel like you're going to pass to go to the beach?
I was going to bring that up. So I actually, in my head, I would go to the beach, but I would even say that beach is worse than water parks, because I think with beach, you're mostly just lying around, and then you possibly would be at the situation where like you would see unsneezed stuff, versus at a water park, you're mostly like in the pool, going on water slides, or chilling with your family, and it's about spending time with the people that you're with. It's not about just lounging around and staring at whoever's around you. So I think that a beach would be worse. But my question to you would be, what is this compared to like country, like if you have like a country club pool in your hometown area, would you go to that with your family?
Also, to be honest, I probably wouldn't unless it was like really like there was no one there. Meaning if you're just with the family, that's in private, but I wouldn't go to the public one, right? Because the truth is there's always at least for me, there's always an option where there's no one around. And just so you know, I don't know if you know about this, but right next to you, Mall of America. You're in Mall of America, right?
Right.
I'm sorry, American Dream Mall just opened up right next to Bergenfield.
Nickelodeon land.
So they have it. Say it again.
Nickelodeon land there. Nickelodeon land is there.
Yeah, so they have an indoor water park, and I heard from Don Garmesian himself, the guy that's the CEO of the place. He said that there's gonna be a couple of times a year where it's gonna be just guys, and a couple times a year it's just girls.
Wow.
And he hired equal number of staff, so you could actually do it completely separate for religious people. So let me ask you, Zach. Now that you have an option where you can go, what would you do? Is it still worth it to go with the family and the other times when you have the option?
It sounds like you can't go with your family still. It sounds like you have to split up your family.
Yeah, but you can still go with half your family.
I mean, I'm all about, I think a house divided by its stand cannot stand. I think it takes away from the whole experience of having a good quality time. I was going to say, like, what about restaurants if like waiters or waitresses aren't dressed so sneakily? Like maybe there you wouldn't want to go either then. Like if you know, I know Cafe Ramon in Israel that they're not necessarily dressed most appropriate. Like maybe you'd say there, like I shouldn't go out to eat because there might be like something bad. I think that as long as that's like the secondary part, I think it'd be okay.
I agree with you, but there's a line, I think. I mean, the line being, I agree with you. If you're not going for that versus if you're going for that, then no matter what it is, it's no good. And if you're not going for that, there's just a line. Meaning, I wouldn't go to Hooters either. I think that's a line I wouldn't go to, right? It's still Hooters with kosher.
Right.
But I don't think necessarily just a waitress that comes in for 4 seconds and my food is going to be what's makiv. It's not going to stop it.
Right. Okay, my last point, I thought maybe we could take this as an opportunity to go to a water park and you have your family dressed extra modest. Like You make sure that they wear like shirts or whatever. And even though people around you are going to be immodest, you teach them a valuable lesson of it's not just about wearing a kippah or wearing skirts down to your knees. It's an attitude of wherever you are as Jews, we're going to be a little bit more extra modest than the rest of the people there. So I think if you're taking little kids, clearly the message is about having fun. And I think you can even get that message of being modest in.
I hear, but I feel like you're giving a mixed message by saying, well, we could go to a place that's not modest. We could do things that are not so great as long as we're okay, right? Or at least that we're trying to be okay. So even though we're compromising everything else, right, as long as we do a little bit, we're fine.
I hear.
I think for a little kid, that's more confusing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so on to the next topic. So I know we both worked at Camp HASC for 2 summers. I just wanted to know your thoughts, like why you chose to go back a second summer, personally.
Yeah, the truth is it was an easy decision, especially just like, because that was already I didn't go show on a bet. So it was already a year into YU, so I was losing a summer internship at that point. But I just thought that the skills you get from YU and like the development as character, and besides the fact that it's just an unbelievably enjoyable time, that I just couldn't pass it up.
What were there any extremely challenging moments for you? And if you also want to answer, like what was the hardest part of the job for you working at Camp HASC?
Yeah, so you would think going in that working with the kids, like dealing with that every day, is the hardest part because they're not so rational, to say it nicely. But the truth is the kids are the easy part, and like wiping, like everyone says, the easiest part of the job. The hardest part is definitely dealing with other co's, right? That responsibility of having to work with someone else, like a co-counselor.
Right.
That's for sure the hardest part.
Going in, you definitely wouldn't think that going in. Like you'd think that that would be the easier part.
Yeah, especially as the vet, right? I'm sure you know from the second year, meaning having to manage people is much harder than having to deal with the kids. And the other hard part is meaning you're just not a person. Like you don't exist as an individual. You just exist as whatever your camper needs you to be.
Right.
That ability to say like, I have to do if I want something, it doesn't really matter. It's whatever he wants. Right. It's a very difficult thing to deal with.
So do you have any particularly funny stories that you might want to share from your summer?
There's one story I always think about when I think of Camp HASC, that just makes me smile. It wasn't my camper, but his name's Herschel. He's in the bunker right across from mine, right in the bunkhouse.
Right.
So Herschel was a little older. He's very high functioning. He's a funny kid. So I remember he just walks into the bunkhouse one time and he goes, "Hey, Michael." Psst. And I go, "What's up, Herschel?" And he goes, "Look at this." And he's holding like a little like cart, like a I don't know, for a 4-year-old. Like, Herschel, what is that? And he goes, "I stole it." I was like, that's not okay. And he started laughing. He took it and he started riding around the bike for the rest of the day.
Oh my God.
And I just can't ask.
That's great. That's awesome.
What about you? Have any good stories for Zach? Yes. Good kids.
I don't know if he's here, but my co-counselor and vice president, Jared Benjamin, was with me one time in the bunk, and we were brushing our teeth, and one of my campers, he's like 8 years old, comes up to us, and he's like, "Oh, the police just called." And they said that my other co-counselor, Sammy, they're like, "Oh, Sammy's getting arrested." We're like, "Oh, really? The police called you? Like, on what phone?" They're like, "Oh, like I used Sammy's phone and they called." So we're like, "Oh, so the police called you on Sammy's phone, knowing that you'd be the one to answer and not Sammy on his own phone to tell you that Sammy was going to get arrested." And he's like thought about it. He's like, "Yes, that's exactly right." We're like, "Oh, okay." So like, we're just like, okay, whatever. So we just kept brushing our teeth. All of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, this police sergeant walks in with a gun, and he like turns on all the lights, and he's like clearing the bunker out, like, what is happening? And then we like go over to Sammy's phone, and we see that my camper called 911, and the cop showed up, and he's like got a distress call that someone's being locked in the closet. We're like, no one's locked in the closet. He's like, I have to like do my research, and like we're just like talking with him, like trying to explain to him that like, no, this is a camp for special needs for people with special needs, and like he's not getting it. Until finally, like, one guy comes up to him and, like, tries grabbing his gun. He's like, "Oh, my God." And then he just bucks out. And he, like goes on the radio, like, "Yeah, it was a false alarm." And then he left. And then right after that, we're like, okay, like, the worst is over. And then 5 minutes later, we see my camper, and he had completely shaved off his eyebrows. And it was a crazy morning. So, yeah, definitely only in Camp HASC. So I just want to know your thoughts on what do you think of. Do you think that it was good? Like, it seems that what were your thoughts on Camp HASC being a co-ed camp? Like, do you think that it helped you at the job? Do you think that it was good thing? Would you rather go on to like sim club? Like in terms of that, what did you like about Camp HASC?
I'll tell you something I heard from Robbie Schreier. And once he was talking about sim club versus HASC, and he said, honestly, I don't think the guys could do it if it wasn't co-ed. That's what he said to me. Because I think you just need that energy. Like
I
that
would.
You have to put on. Maybe you could do it, Zack.
I need.
But I think most guys could only work as hard as they do it because they know there's someone looking.
Yeah. I think that it's a good example of a model of how the rest of the world should be. Like if we can all come together for some higher goal, and it's definitely not an easy time for anyone, and we all come together, all different backgrounds, and we make it work, and it's a great time. The reason I always say this, like people ask me why I go back a second summer, I say it was good shtick the first time around. I love the costumes. I love the hawk. It was awesome. I just have one last question. I was not field day captain or color general or anything. I just want to know, like you, what was it like being a field day captain? Like, was it exciting? Like, what was it like? I'm super jealous still. What was it like?
Field day, I'll be honest, not to make you too jealous.
Color
field day,
it's like color.
Yeah, it's like the baby version of color for anyone who doesn't know. It's much more real of a day.
I was scared.
It's much more real of a day.
Color.
Yeah. It's probably, I'm not exaggerating, the most fun I had in Camp HASC was field day.
Wow.
It's kind of like you have no responsibilities because you just give your kid to your other co's. And then you just get to enjoy camp without any kids. And like, it's just like you just get to hang out all day. Like whenever you want to go back, you go back. Whenever you don't, you don't. It's like an off day in camp, basically. So we just got to hang out. We goofed around. We had a whole night activity just to ourselves. So it was like a very fun, it's like a whole different vibe to camp that you never really get to see.
Right. I hear. Okay, so I think I wanted to leave it up to the audience. I'm like scrolling through to see any questions. I can't really see any. I know there's a lot of messages here. If people want to post questions quickly, we're more than happy to answer them. Someone wants us to sing. I don't want to sing. Okay. Someone's asking me to sing again. I'm not singing. Fine, Michael, do you have any questions for me on anything?
Yeah, why'd you start this? I mean, this is an awesome idea, but why'd you start it?
Honestly,
this podcast.
A couple of people text me as a joke, like, you definitely got to start your own podcast during this. People keep wanting me to sing. I'm not singing. Maybe I'll sing. I'd rather not sing. I don't have the best voice. Okay. I thought a lot of people text me, like, I definitely think that there's not such good live entertainment out anymore. So I was hoping to just provide some good shtick. Like I remember coming up with the title, like with Miriam Schloss, who's helped me run it. Shout out to her. And we were like, oh, talk show with Zack. I'm like, nah, that's stupid. It needs to be more controversial. I'm like, wait a second, good shtick. That's good shtick. So we went for it. Okay, so here's a question from Shield News. Do you have other plans for student programming for the rest of the semester, assuming it's all online? So I don't know who Shield News is. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to assume it's someone. So definitely we were planning on doing possible book club meetings where I saw someone already posted that where like people could discuss books together. We wanted to do, I'm working with the Marvel Cinematic Universe Club on trying to get a Marvel movie showing where people watch it together. And I know there have been like online share going on. The online libraries happening. So yeah. This is a good question, I think, for both of us. I think David Herman asked, any regrets in YU? Olga, you wanna take the first crack at that?
Any regrets in YU?
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of things that happen, like at night, like events that happen at night. And I never really went to them my first year. I really never did anything like extracurricular wise at all until maybe the second half of my second year. So I wish I got more involved in certain different things earlier on, different clubs, different things. Not to say that I would go so often, just the once in a while is a nice experience.
Right. I feel like I'd actually say the opposite. I think that I joined a lot of clubs early on, and it was awesome. I'm still, whatever, thank God, like still doing a pretty whatever. I'm trying my best with learning, But I think that I should have came into YU with like one set thing. I mean, I could still do it. I keep whatever. Now, especially with the time off, I want to do it. Like I have some stuff. Yeah, no. I mean, like one set thing of learning that like I do every day that takes 5 minutes. Like definitely being president, like at times it's like not so hard, and then at times it's crazy, where there's like a lot of stuff going on, and then like I'm really busy and stressed out. And I wish I had like one set thing that I learned every day for like 5 minutes. So maybe during this Corona time, maybe after this I'll get started on that. But yeah, that's probably my biggest regret.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see any other good questions. From Lazar Abrahams, what's up with the Nativ guy who's taking over YU? Stern Council next. Oh, here's a good one. Ben Strackman. Why do I like Star Wars so much? Michael, I don't know if you like Star Wars so much, but I can answer that.
Okay, go for it.
I actually was just at Disney World 2 weeks ago, and they opened up this new Star Wars ride called Rise of the Resistance. It was whatever, the only way to get in was to show up at the park at park opening, and then you have to join a boarding group, and within 30 seconds they're completely full. So like I got in park opening, and like I really quickly like tried signing in. Like 15 seconds in, I was already in boarding group 56. So it was a Friday, so I didn't even get to go on the ride until 2:30, and then all of a sudden, like we finally get on, and Shabbos we had to like leave the park at like 4 for Shabbos, and then so we get on the ride at like 3-ish, and then we're on the ride and it's going, and all of a sudden it breaks down, and then we're like what? And then the cast members come out to like, all right, walk out, it's over. So we had to like get off the ride, and like they're like, all right, here's a fast pass for the rest of the day, and we're like, oh no, like this is horrible. Like we have Shabbos. Let me like talk to them, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll let it extend to the next day. So then Shabbos, we like knew that we had the fast pass, and Shabbos ended at, we thought 7:20, but then we looked it up and it was really 7:02, and the park closed at 8. So we had like, and it was so then we like had a 30-minute window because we also had to Uber over to the park. So we're like, you know what? I've been to Disney 21 times, so I've been on all the rides except for this one Star Wars ride. I have a problem. What happens, King? Whatever. So then we go so then we're like, you know what? Let's go for it. So we Uber in. We quickly after Shabbos, we do Havdalah, get in the Uber, run over to Disney. 7:20, we try and go in. We scan and we have the fast pass. We try and get in, and they're like, oh wait, your ticket is to Epcot, not Hollywood. We're like, what? Like the park's closing in 30 minutes. Like we're about to cry. We're like, what are you talking about? Like just let us in. They're like, no, like you have to go to guest relations. So we wait online at guest relations for like 15 minutes, and they switch it from, finally we like tell them our whole stop story. They're like, okay, so they switched it from Epcot to Hollywood. We get into the park, run over to Star Wars Land, get on at 7:50, get on the ride, and it was not normal. It was the craziest ride. Like you're on Kylo Ren's ship. I don't know if you know who he is. He's the bad guy, and everything's life size. There's giant walkers. There's lightsabers. He's trying to kill you. They have like battle cannons shooting at the Rebel Alliance that are like life size, and like then like the floor drops. It's crazy. And I think that ride is what Star Wars to me is. Like when I was a little kid, I used to always like go to like my little Zack Fantasyland and like pretend like I was in Star Wars. You know, I still have a lightsaber in the corner of my room that I played with my little cousin over Perm. We had like a lightsaber duel in the dark. It like lights up. It was cool. Whatever. So it's nerdy, but whatever. I think that there's a lot of good to it in terms of like losing yourself and being something more. And I think that you can apply it to real life, and like sky's the limit, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's my little, I don't know what interests you about Star Wars. Best Star Wars movie is Star Wars 5. Also, someone else asked that. Oh, Melissa Goldstein asked that. Okay, yeah, what were you saying?
I was gonna say the first time I watched Star Wars was with you and Jared and Sean Olive. I don't know if you remember this.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We like started the movie and it didn't finish.
We're in the basement?
In your room, if I remember correctly.
Okay, fine. All right. I think last question. I'll take this one. Shield News asked, what was the deciding factor to drop the RA gig and take the YSU president gig? Was it a tough decision to make? So it definitely was a tough decision for me because I love being an RA. You know, I don't know if people know, I don't want to go into it all now, but I had that like RA terrorist story. Like it was a crazy run, even becoming like an RA. Should I just tell, I don't know. I don't want to tell clear dates. It's already been a while. PM, next time. So I definitely thought, I originally intended on just sticking with RA and not taking the presidency. But then I realized like what's going to happen is there'd be an election. It would take like weeks for that to even happen. And then it would take weeks for the next president to even figure out how to work Trello, I don't even know if you know what that is. It's like the club thing, how we like run clubs. And I realized that there's a lot of skills in being president that I have from my experience as vice president and being on student council for 2 years. And I realized that, like, I think for where I was at, I think I was being given a good opportunity to do something bigger. And even though the floor was great, it was great micro, but I was talking to Schwab about it, and he said to me, like, what do you think about when you're in the shower? And I said, honestly, being president now, not really about the floor. And he said, then you got to take it. So that was like a big like calming thing for me. CJ's here. He definitely, I spoke with him about it for like half hour. I see him nodding. Yeah. You know what's up. My co-RA wasn't easy. He's actually also vice president. So if Labe Wiener gets kicked out, he's going to run into the same exact spot as me. Yeah. Michael, should we sing at the end, like something off?
I think you got this one, Zach. Should be your signature.
The best
signature sign off.
What's like a song? I don't know a song. I don't know. I don't know. Is there a Disney song? I don't want to sing Into the Unknown. It gets too high. I don't want to do it. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Let it go.
I mean, count them down, Zach.
It gets too high. I don't want to sing I don't want to sing Let It Go. I don't know. The only thing I don't want to do it. Fine. Should I do Under the Sea and then call it that?
Do it.
No, or a Whole New World. I don't know. What would people rather? Fine, I'll do it. Okay. A whole new world, a new fan, Zack Shtick point of view. No one to tell us no or where to go. Just say we're only dreaming. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all in the next episode. Michael, really appreciate having you here. It was great seeing everyone. And keep up the good shtick, everybody. Have a good night. I don't really know how to end it.